There is a reason adults tell you very early on to beware of strangers. It's very good advice. I'm sure any parent would agree with me on that. You hear it all the time when you're a kid. Don't take candy from people you don't know. Don't get into people's cars. Don't call random numbers from the telephone book. It's just the way it works out, right? It's a very valuable lesson, as I said. But unfortunately, kids don't always get the message. Sometimes, there's kids that just don't really take that to heart. Then you've always got the rebel children that are like, no, I'm going to do what I want. And unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world or a perfect life, so unfortunately a mainstay in life is things like that tend to backfire when we don't take life lessons we should for granted, and we have to learn the hard way. It sounds horrible, but it happens every day, and unfortunately Karen's going to have to live that experience herself, but in this case, she's not a child, she's an adult. Even as adults, we may not take the idea about keeping our distance from people we don't know for granted. Sometimes we let our guard down with people that maybe we should keep our guard up for a little while. Not to say, you should always be on the defensive, but at the same time, first impressions, you might want to, hold yourself a bit in reserve. But unfortunately, as I said, Karen's going to have a harder time with this. She is about to meet a sinister stalker, one that perhaps she mistakes to be a sinister savior. What interesting titles for this film, but funny enough, Sinister Seduction, which is a different Marvista Entertainment film, would fit right well in here. Like, the whole family's of sinister films. I think, in that case, Sinister Seduction, that already has claim in another film, which also looks great. But Sinister Savior, I think, is my favorite of the two. Sinister Stalker, it's more direct. I think it's a bit blunter, but Sinister Savior kind of has that crafty opposition to what we would tend to think, especially if you're a religious or a Christian like me, like what we would think of as a savior. Yeah, random guy on the street that has some nefarious goals, he's not a savior. But that title perfectly applies, and I really like the sound of it. But yes, those strangers out there, you gotta be careful, especially if you're a woman. This can apply to both sides, certainly, but I think for women, this can be even more dangerous because sometimes there are those people out there, being men, that are a bit twisted, right? There are very problematic guys in society. Anybody with an internet connection these days can certainly back me up on that. You get all the news headlines, or it's from an international perspective, a national perspective, or maybe even your local community, heaven forbid. Marvista's gotten this message too, for I don't know how many films I've seen at this point that they've had going along that line, but they clearly have gotten the memo. There are problematic guys in society, and a lot of their thrillers tend to go on that old rabbit trail. Mostly they're actually, this is perfectly fitting, they're usually in a relationship context, so this fits right in. But, again, as I said, even stating there are horrible guys out there, we're certainly not all bad. I'm certainly not like most of these people. We're all created by God in the image of God, but sometimes there are those people out there whose sin gets the better of them, and they tend to fall into the darkness a bit too much, and they're the people that maybe we should stay away from, especially if we don't know them. Daniel certainly sounds like he could be, not to offend any Daniels out there. That's unfortunately the character name they picked for this guy, but Daniel seems to be one of those people. He's no savior, as Karen is about to find out in Sinister Savior, and this is what IMDb says about the project. Karen, an emergency room doctor, is rescued by a handsome stranger named Daniel after she is attacked on her way home one night. When Daniel is injured in the attack, Karen takes him back to her house to tend to his wounds. But as Karen spends more time with Daniel, she learns that he is not the selfless hero she thought he was. As I said earlier, this kind of story is certainly in Marvista's forte and their expertise, because they tell a lot of films like this. Good girl meets bad guy that she doesn't realize is bad guy, and there are horrible consequences sure to follow. Most of these romance stories tend to go that path. But yeah, in this case, she falls for his kindness and seeming innocence, right? You can't do that when you meet a stranger, because unfortunately, if there's somebody like Daniel, it could be a major backfire. But yeah, Following a Masquerade, it's not going to bode well. I don't see much unique deviation here from the other Marvista films that I've seen in the past that kind of fall into that same vein. It seems like the same consistent story, but maybe you could have a line of originality to it. Again, I like the title. It's pretty interesting. Let's see if it can stand apart from the other projects and maybe have this unique aspect to it that surprises me and sets this film apart from past releases from the studio that they've done before. As always, we're going to watch this first, and we'll talk about it more in my condensed few seconds while watching the video together. Okay, here we go.
I'll see you Thursday. Are you walking? Oh, I like to walk. It helps me clear my head. There's a lot of creeps. They're harmless.
If she says that, then you should probably be like, I'm not going to go that way, or maybe could you go with me? Yeah, that looks like a wonderful guy.
Hey, I'm Daniel.
I'm Karen. Thank you.
Well, he dresses nice.
And I was just at the right place at the right time.
Your arm.
It's okay.
I used to be an ER doctor. I'm not going to let you just walk home like this.
Okay. You live in this big place all alone?
I shared it with my ex-husband. You see your cut? No, it's not as bad as I thought it was. You're lucky.
Yeah, I sure am.
That does look pretty bad.
Oh,
Whoa.
dizzy spell.
You might have a mild concussion. You should stick around so I can monitor you.
Okay.
I'm going to go get clean.
Yeah, that's not telegraphed at all. Jeez, dude.
Hey, Izzy.
See, I got a fake charlatan vibe. Like, he's not injured.
And there's a guy who jumped out and attacked me. Attacked? There was this good Samaritan who kind of came out of nowhere and helped me out.
Then I'm coming over.
Izzy, this is Daniel.
What is it that you do?
In commercial real estate.
I wasn't familiar with any commercial listings in this area. Do you have a website?
It's down for maintenance.
Still can't believe the coincidence. You just happened to be right there when Karen got attacked.
Where's Izzy?
Maybe I haven't been honest with you.
Yeah, we all got
Maybe
that
I do know
vibe.
more about you than I first let on. You were my guardian angel.
I treated you?
Took me years, but I'm now here with you.
That's interesting.
It was destiny.
Well, that's obsession at its finest. They really picked a good character to be the assailant in that movie. Like, that guy looks like somebody that you would... Not to judge people. I'm sorry if it comes across a bit judgmental, but... Well, he's playing a character. I'm sure the actor looks nice, but... You got that vibe where you're like, ooh, this guy means trouble. But then the nice guy in a suit, like, oh, look, the hero. What a disguise, but... Well... The guy's got drive if he's willing to take a wound like that. Not to sound like I'm validating his actions later on or any of his motives, but he's certainly... He doesn't stand back. He seems to be very assertive. It seems very similar, again, like I was saying, to past films, but I did like I've talked about this before, I think, with actually a Marvista film in the past, if I remember right. I've talked about other movies before as well. The mirror imagery, especially when you have a character who has these darker motives. I love the image of a mirror. I oftentimes work with that in poetry I write. It's a very interesting psychological concept. I like seeing that in the film. That kind of... Well, also you see like the dual expression, kind of the blinky light there. This is unique on their part. I like how they did that. I just find it funny. Well, I think, that is very natural to where usually life can go if you let people too close into your life, especially when they happen to be a stranger. Maybe you fall for them romantically. You may not always be on your guard, right? You clearly see in the trailer that the woman he aspires to be with, like everybody else in the room, like the other girl can clearly tell something, there's that suspicion. I'm sitting here watching the trailer like, this guy means trouble. Like, I can clearly tell at the beginning, like, oh yeah, you have a concussion, dude. There's just something about that in the smile, like, I could stay here. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. How convenient. Like, clearly there's something going on. It's a bit suspicious, and like everybody else sees it in the room, and you're like, who is this guy? But of course you got the main girl here being like, oh, but he was such a dream because he came and saved me. You can't think like that with a stranger. You'll find yourself in this situation. Great lesson in life, I think, especially when you see that she let her guard down a bit too much and she realizes this isn't really going the way I want it to. you gotta be careful of people in life. So this serves as a great reminder to all of us. Maybe if this isn't a film you want to watch with your kids just yet, it could be a great message for them down the line to be like, hey kids, this is what happens if you're not careful around strangers. Like, heaven forbid it goes down that way, but could be a great PSA reminder for them. I don't know. It's maybe we have to wait, until they're like a teenager to go on like the romantic rabbit trail, but it should serve as a great reminder to most of us adults. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, for women too, I think it serves as a great reminder of like, sometimes there's that stranger guy. You might want to go walking with a friend. That would maybe provide less chance that something happens to you down the line. And who knows, maybe, some guy will be like, hey, she's with some friend. She's got friends. She's not alone. Maybe I should back off a bit. Maybe you'll find, a better guy that way. Someone that, won't be too alarmed of like, hey, she's alone. I better take my chances. Never let your guard down. What do you guys think about Sinister Stalker or Sinister Savior? I love that. Again, I love that title. It's really good. I would pose this question to you too as well if you've seen any of my past Marvista coverage or if you're familiar with watching Marvista Entertainment made films. Does this seem too far... does it seem apart from some of the other films you've seen of these like romantic thrillers? Or is this kind of the same old, same old? I like the medical history angle. And again, there's some images here that I think are great. And I do think the message here could be very valuable to our culture and society presently. So I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. But there are certainly aspects I like to it. Feel free to let me know what you guys think, though, down below. Don't forget all the good stuff, like, subscribe, and that bell. And of course, I've said in multiple videos at this point, this studio has a lot of films, and we have a lot more to check out. I think I'm checking out just one more tonight. But whatever film we get to watch together next, whether it's Marvista or maybe some of our company's film entirely, I will see you guys at that point. But until then, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Remember to love yourselves, your fellow man. God bless. Peace.